Welcome to Housing Development.
I'm Jim Tobin.
And I'm Paul Lopez.
Yeah.
Hello.
Good morning.
Good day.
Yeah, good to see you. Welcome to springtime in D.C.
I know, right?
You know, and when I think of springtime in D.C., I think of sitting on my back porch watching my TV, and I think of our sponsor, our great sponsor, LG Pro Builder.
Let's build the good life together.
Let's build a good life together. So thanks to LG and all that.
Absolutely. Okay, so a little bit personal. Like, how's the new deck? You got
It's fantastic.
Yeah.
The weather's been so nice. I've been sitting out there eating outside, watching a lot of playoff hockey.
Yeah.
Go Caps. I went to game 2 last night.
Nice.
Real nail biter. It was really nice. They played pretty well down the stretch. So you know, not quite Nats fever here
yet,
in Washington D.C. No, but Caps fever certainly.
Yeah, definitely.
I know talking to a lot of the our staff who are Commanders fans are looking forward to the big draft tonight.
Yeah.
I'm a Dolphins fan, so whatever. And so anyway, but yeah, no, it's all good. So
Nice.
It's good. Yeah.
The feeling's always weird in D.C. because Congress is in recess, right?
They are. That's right.
So things are just kind of a little bit more passive, right?
They are. That's right. Yeah, all the news has come out of the White House. It always does. But
Right.
but not too much drama out of Capitol Hill, which is good. They're on they coming to the tail end of their 2-week Easter and Passover break. So
Yeah.
but this is now, you know, when they hit the ground on Monday,
Yeah.
it's going to be the big stretch, you know, between now and really the August recess. Couple stops of the federal holidays in there. But
Sure.
our legislative conference on June 11th will hit right in the middle of this session, which is great. But yeah, I mean, there's some work they've got to do, and you know, the big tax bill's coming.
Yeah, no, 100%. And we'll talk a little bit more about that on the tail end. Because between the last time we recorded and now, a lot of economic news.
Yeah.
And kind of weird. It's kind of funky. I want to start with the HMI because that kind of is going to bridge some of this funkiness. So HMI 40.
Right.
Up 1.
Up 1.
Right?
That's right.
But still definitely in negative territory.
Right.
But our builders are definitely kind of feeling some of the tariff pressure, right?
You got the big tariffs on China, 145%. You've got steel and aluminum from Canada at 25%. And you've got this across the board 10% tariffs, but the reciprocal tariffs have been rolled back by the president, though now he may put them back on. And
that's the thing, right?
It's
the
been,
uncertainty.
Yeah, we're still in that uncertainty, right? And you know, I'm not saying I want, you know, high tariffs anywhere, but certainty would be helpful, I think, from a variety of and we'll get into that from a variety of ways, I guess. Mostly because building manufacturers are writing letters to their customers saying
Prices are coming up.
Prices are coming up in the second quarter. I mean, we even saw that, you know, 2 weeks after the president was inaugurated.
Oh yeah.
You know, we had, you know, we're going to go up between 6 and 10% sometime in the second quarter, but we don't know. But that was even before tariffs were announced.
Yeah.
So, you know, I think there's people taking advantage of the moment but more importantly, they're trying to plan for the uncertainty.
Right.
And you know, the builders are, you know, reacting to it, whether it's raising prices or you know
eating it.
Yeah.
I mean, the HMI, we do the survey, and 60% said that they'd already seen an increase in their prices, which is kind of insane.
And the survey showed that, I mean, they're expecting almost 11%. You know, cumulative total in the cost of a house. So it's significant. It's going to price a lot of people out of the market.
I mean, right now we're averaging. We're thinking it's around over $10,000, just over $10,000, which, as you know, that prices out hundreds of thousands of people.
Yeah, that's not insignificant at all.
No,
you got to finance that, and you know, it's one thing to finance a $10,000 increase when the mortgage rates are 3 or 4%. When they're 6.5%, or even north of that, it's real money.
Oh no,
it's
absolutely.
real money.
Right. Okay, so then that puts us into a funk because new home sales came out, right? Those were up.
Right.
Those were up 7.4%.
Right.
Right. So, I mean, I know that we had a little bit of an easing in terms of interest rates, and that helped.
Yep.
But does it really? It seems more it's going to be like more of a temporary thing,
well,
right?
we know what Rob Dietz has said, that, you know, we're going to see it's going to be level from last year, roughly 1 million single family units. I guess I'm not surprised that new home sales are up, because it's still the only game in town, right? People in existing homes have to be willing to trade up from a cheaper mortgage to a more expensive mortgage and put their home on the market, and they're still not doing that. And and again, you know, as I travel across the country, I mean, our members are still generally in a good mood. You know, despite tariffs, despite some of the uncertainty. You know, I have heard, you know, some parts of the country. I was in the Panhandle of Florida, down in Panama City, and they're doing great.
Yeah,
capital's flowing down there, buildings happening both multifamily, resorts and single family going great.
Right.
But then talking to builders in Milwaukee and in Wisconsin, they've got a lot of people that got up getting ready to sign a contract. Uncertainty, they pulled back. Now they're getting ready to come back in the market. So it's just very uneven. Hard to really pin down where we're headed.
Yeah.
And you've heard me say this. I still think we're months away from really knowing what the Trump economy looks like. And we haven't hit the 100-day mark yet. They're close.
Wow.
And yeah, right. Wow. It's been a year.
Yeah.
And so anyway, just uncertainty still rules the day.
And I think the thing that our members and builders are looking at is clearly the demand is there, right?
Right.
Mortgage rates dip a little bit, boom, everyone goes off, starts, locking in that rate to try and buy.
Yep.
Because the demand is there. It's just we can't build what we can or need to do because of all the stuff that all those constrictions.
Yeah, capital's still expensive, right? I mean, is we know acquisition, development, construction lending is really closely aligned with the Fed's rate.
Yeah.
The Fed is not, I don't think we're anticipating any rate drops this year. Maybe towards the end of the year.
Maybe, yeah.
We don't even, we're not even going to get close to 6.25 rates. We don't think till the end of 26.
Yeah.
We've kind of pushed off this recovery we've been talking about, which again pushes off home ownership for a lot of people, which pushes off that accumulation of wealth and that taking that step into the middle class in this country.
Yeah.
But in my mind, we know we're up against this. We have this great demographic window with the millennials in their prime ages. Do we push that farther into the 2030s? Maybe it's not 2032 now, but maybe it's 2034, 35. Could we keep the good times rolling here?
Yeah, it's just like you touched upon. It's such a snowball effect in terms of wealth. In terms of lack of wealth building, because you go into the market later, you start maybe having children later as well.
Right.
So when you're thinking about retiring, you may still have somebody still living in your basement or living in one of your rooms, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's just uncertain times, and we know that home ownership is certainly the cornerstone of a lot in this country, and so the longer we keep pushing it off, the worse we get.
Yeah. You touched a little bit upon this. We just got existing numbers down almost 6%, right?
Right.
The numbers are still anemic in the existing. But you know what's interesting? And this goes back to who's buying the homes. And we've always talked about how new homes, the price of new homes is more expensive than existing homes. Right. Do you know what the median sale price this month was for an existing home? $403,700.
Okay.
The price of a new home last month, $403,600.
Wow.
So we're actually below.
That's really interesting.
The price, and it's the first time it's ever happened.
Wow.
So just to kind of give you a sense, prices in existing are almost at an all-time high.
Wow.
And we're in the market. To your point, we're the only game in town.
Right.
And I think that's part of the enthusiasm that we're hearing from our builders, right? Because they're seeing a traffic flow that they've never experienced before, long term.
Yeah, I whether it's mortgage, and that's the hard part, right? People, you can't time the market. You're going to try, right? And so, if you're up against it, and you feel like for economic situations or family situations, you need to buy or sell your home, we understand that.
Sure.
But also for people who want to enter ownership, I still think that it's a great time to buy. Look at new housing.
Yeah.
And if you can afford the rates that we have now, you can always refi down the road, right? And
sure.
but we've got to get used to kind of the new normal, and that's going to be for the next year and a half, we're going to be in the 6% range, and hopefully we get down to those fives. We've been talking about it,
right?
But it's spring buying season. Get out there and look.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And then to kind of go full circle on this, we had housing starts right after the HMI down 11.4.
Yeah.
So that goes back to the 40 number in our HMI, right?
Yep.
That things are still in the negative for a reason.
Yeah.
So things, to your point, inventory is only going to get more and more tight.
It is.
So if you find the home that you want and you can afford it at the rates, grab it and stop timing the market.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, I'd be curious how HMI fares over the next few months. Obviously but whether or not we do see some sort of a blip here where maybe it's a little low, again, uncertainty, and then our builders, are they not planning their next subdivisions? Are they kind of holding off, right?
Yeah.
That's what it feels like.
Right.
The sooner we can get to certainty, obviously, or at least some normalcy. We saw
Consistency.
we saw the president he relaxed the tariffs. Then he talked about pulling back on the Chinese tariffs to kind of set the tone for negotiations, cool the temperature down. He's backed off from calling for Chair Powell to be fired.
Yeah.
I would never do that. I was, and so it's really interesting, watching the stock market yo-yo up and down,
Right.
The bond market, mortgage rates. I mean, it's just, I don't know what the solution is, but I'd like to get to whatever the stasis is, sooner rather than later.
No, 100%. So now let's bring it all the way back.
Yeah.
Congress comes back next week. What are they going to be? What are their key goals going to be right off the bat?
To start moving on the tax bill. The extension of the Trump tax cuts.
Right.
They're really talking about trying to get this done by midsummer.
Yeah.
Considering that bill is going to set tax policy in the country for the better part of the next decade.
Yeah.
Whatever timeline they have to choose in order to make the numbers work. And that brings certainty.
Yeah.
We all know they're going to extend it one way or the other by the end of the year, but getting it done early, if there's some new programs they're putting in there, we're going to be pushing hard on, accentuating and modernizing the low-income housing tax credit. It's going to be really important for affordable rental program moving forward. The deduction for small businesses, the vast majority of builders in this country are small businesses, not organized as corporations.
Yeah.
We want to make sure that those business tax breaks that they use are going to be still there, right? That will add some certainty to that portion of the economy. And that, I think, helps, again, this will be a big chunk of what the Trump economy ultimately looks like. And then, we're still going to be going right along with some deregulation that the president's working on.
Yeah.
We're very active with the agencies and departments and the White House to kind of setting that up as well. So the tariff piece is working out there. And so that's really, Congress is going to be really busy. And plus they've got a spending bill they've got to start thinking about for September 30th. And so they'll be busy, but that tax bill is really what everybody's going to be focused on.
Yeah, that's going to blot out the sun.
Yeah, can the Republicans get their act together enough to coalesce around a final package quickly? And cutting taxes is in the Republicans' DNA. That's what they do really well.
Right.
So this idea that they're not going to find a way to get this done, I think, baffles me. You do have the hardline conservatives who want to see commensurate funding cuts. We'll see if that happens. Certainly, we've seen what DOJ is trying to do, and I think there will be some cuts. Is it enough to help that slim majority that Speaker Johnson has get this across the goal line, and then reconcile with the Senate, which has a completely different set of numbers?
Right.
I said midsummer, right?
Yeah, I guarantee it.
Yeah.
Do you think some of we've heard some blowback in terms of some of the social programs and so on. Do you think that temperature rises enough to cause any consternation and get the
Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security?
Yeah.
I mean, there's. Yes, I do. The president has vowed not to cut here and there, but the old waste, fraud, and abuse, one of the favorite three words.
Right.
Is there waste, fraud, and abuse out there? Sure. You can always find an example of it. Is it widespread? I don't know.
Right.
But do these programs remain solvent is critically important. And what are the services that they need to provide for the that social safety net?
Yeah.
Political peril is always out there, and that when you have a lot of vulnerable Republicans and even Democrats out there that that they're going to have to be very careful how this moves forward.
Yeah.
But what we've seen in the first up to 90 days with the president's administration, they're not afraid to swing some sledgehammers and then start rebuilding it. So but we need to have a serious conversation about spending and entitlements in this country. We cannot keep on this trajectory.
Yeah.
As Rob Dietz will say to us,
Dr.
Robert Dietz will tell us the long-term deficit and debt that we are running is just as dangerous to those interest rates that we so deeply care about. So we've got to get our house in order.
Yeah, no, 100%. All right. I think we hit all that.
Yeah, I
right?
think so too. I'm going to put it in for LegCon.
Yeah, please.
All right, so June 11th will be the legislative conference here on Capitol Hill. We've got some great issues that we're working on. We'd love to invite everybody here to join us on June 11th. Go to Capitol Hill, take over the halls of Congress.
So important.
And it is, yeah. I mean, become advocate for your industry. No one is better at it than our members, and no one speaks for our members better than our members. You know, we have a great team in Washington D.C. that do a great job, but this is the day for you to go to Capitol Hill and talk about the issues on the ground and your locality and how they translate to federal policy. And so Lake Colson and the entire government affairs team has put together a great program. But again, June 11th, come to D.C. Great time to be in D.C. in the springtime. You know, we have our leadership meetings around there as well. So we'll be doing the business of the association and the industry. So it's please come to D.C.
Yeah, very nice. I also want to end on a positive note.
Yeah.
Okay. We got a new program, a new savings program, the Ford Pro program.
Yeah, I
right?
saw that. Yeah.
I love this, right?
Yeah.
I mean, so you can get up to $5,000 off of a new Ford.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, I was looking at looking at the numbers. A Ford F-150 Super Crew 4x4, you get almost $3,000 off.
Wow.
So we're always talking about the value of NHP membership, right?
Right.
You buy one truck in 10 years using this program.
Yeah,
this is in addition to. This is not in lieu of. You
Right.
can go down, strike your best deal,
Right.
and then at the end of it, it's basically as good as cash, right?
Right.
Here's another $3,000
Yep.
that you can plunk down,
Right.
right? You buy one truck in 10 years, you have paid your NHB dues for that time and then some,
Nice.
right?
Yeah.
So come on, folks. What are
yeah,
you waiting
yeah,
for? Those
that's
of
right.
you who are listening and aren't members, come
Yeah,
on.
and that's just one of the member savings
Yes,
programs, right?
that's
But yeah,
right.
no, great to have Ford Pro with us. It's been a while since we've had Ford, and so that's great.
Yeah, we got Ram, we got Nissan, we have Mercedes Benz now,
Right.
So we've got the whole little stable
We,
here.
we do.
So those interested in the Ford program, go to nhb.org/Ford. And if you want to look at the whole stable of savings, you can go to nhb.org/savings.
Yeah, and big shout out to John McGeary and our whole team out there who
Absolutely.
negotiated that deal. It's great to have Ford in the fold.
100%.
Yeah.
I just wanted to end on a positive
Yeah,
note.
that's
That's it, all right?
Well, we should thank one of our great sponsor, LG Pro Builder.
That's right.
Let's build a good life together. So we thank LG for their support of the Housing Developments Podcast.
Absolutely.
All right.
With that,
Well, until then,
Absolutely.
enjoy the spring weather.
I
Yeah.
say-
Till next time, I'm Jim Tobin.
and I'm Paul Lopez.
Bye.
Bye.